Right, good news for you now. You might remember that John spoke to Olly Monro last year. Now, Olly set up the Axis Trampolining Club, but its future really was up in the air when its home, the Redwood Hotel, closed. Olly's story was recorded by BBC Radio 4 last summer, and they joined him at the very last training session at Redwoods.
So, Axis Trampoline Club has now finished. Regrettably, we've just finished folding up the last trampoline, so that's it. In its current format, the Axis Trampoline Club now no longer exists. Sad times.
And how do you feel right at this very moment?
I don't know what to say. I knew I was going to need that.
What's going through your mind?
Everything that we've done has just been wasted. The hard work and effort for everybody to move our club, you know, which is no small feat of logistics, and you're messing a lot of people around by changing venues and changing timetables and messing with people's schedules, and you run the risk of it not working and people not coming on board and people not coming with you and all that kind of stuff, and we managed to bridge that gap through, you know, sheer hard work and determination. Everyone's put so much effort into coming here.
Well, that was Olly Monro speaking last summer. I'm delighted to say that fortunes are very different now, and he's sorted himself out, he's composed himself, and he's with us now in the studio. What do you think when you listen back to that?
Well, good morning, Bernard. Thank you so much for having me come in today. I tell you what, just sitting and listening to that, I feel really emotional again. Just
you brought it all back, is it?
Oh my God.
I remember hearing that broadcast. I was in my car, and I remember hearing that being broadcast and thinking, this sounds like a man who's given every ounce, every fibre in his body has been put into a project, and he feels like it's all been taken away.
It wasn't just feeling like it had been taken away, it had been taken away. At the time when that interview was done on our very, very last training session, our trampoline club had nothing. That was it. We were homeless. There was nowhere to go. There was no light at the end of the tunnel. There was nothing that was set up, and it was, you know, it was heartbreaking.
Explain about the years prior to that. It was about 9 years of work that you put into that. So where was the inspiration? What was the love of trampolining, and why was it so emotional for you when it was taken away?
One of my first coaches, actually, he said, "I think that it's unhealthy how much you love trampolining." I don't know. I discovered trampolining at university when I went to UE. That's what I came to Bristol for, and just. You guys have been talking about eureka moments this morning on the show, and it was like a eureka lifetime. It was so funny, but I just absolutely fell in love with trampolining. It was
why? What was it?
It was just, I don't know. It was just fun.
I mean, it's only
fun.
Going up and down, isn't it?
Yeah, it is just going up. But then you can reduce every sport. You know, golf is like sticking a ball into a hole, and football is, you know, sticking a bag into the back of the net. But and bouncing is just bouncing up and down. It's you can simplify it very much. But the joy, the absolute joy that it brings you, and the freedom that it gives you, and the you know, make no mistake, it is a heck of a lot more than just bouncing up and down.
Is it actually a sport?
Absolutely. Yeah,
really?
Very much a competitive sport.
Convince me.
Let me ask you if you can withstand, you know, the same amount of G-force that a racing driver experiences when he's going around a bend every single time you hit the bottom of the bed when you're bouncing at 8 meters in the air. Let me ask you if you can fit 23 somersaults into 10 bounces. Let me ask you if you can fit, you know, almost 30 twists into a routine. The skill level that's required and the practice and the training that is required is phenomenal. Add into that the fact that there are a panel of judges who are all, you know, sitting there in their suits and munching on biscuits, that are glancing their beady eyes at you going, come on, impress me. And they're looking for how nice and neat and beautiful it is. So it isn't just about can you do the skill, it's about can you do the skill with absolute precision. It's such a fantastic sport. I tell you what, I just love it.
So getting the club up and running was, I mean, this was your passion, wasn't it? This
Absolutely.
was a labour of love. How hard was it to get a club up and running? Because it was the biggest trampoline club in Bristol, wasn't it?
Yes, we are the biggest trampoline club in Bristol. There are a few others, but we certainly didn't start off that way. It was, to answer your question, it was relatively easy to start the club up. We started off with 2 tired old trampolines, which we managed to sort of beg, borrow and steal from various places, and that was it. We ran an open day. It's really funny, we've just run open days this past weekend, and there was a couple of people who are still with us. They attended our very, very first open day 10 years ago, and they were here again with me on my team 10 years later, and they were like, it's just phenomenal, where the club has come from, very, very humble beginnings, 2 trampolines and just a handful of kids, to us in our new place. You studied pharmacology, I think, didn't you? So were there disappointing looks? Were there tuts and shaking of head and furrowed brows from people, perhaps relatives or your lecturers, when you decided that trampolining was the thing you wanted to do? There were a few people who were suggesting that I was wasting my life. Mm-hmm. You're at university, you're an intelligent chap, you should be doing important things and using your degree. But I just didn't see spending the next 50 years of my life, holed up in a laboratory, with pipettes and centrifuges and things like that as the way that I wanted to spend my life.
And when you set up the club, who were you aiming it at?
Everybody. I think I'm a firm believer that trampolining should be an accessible sport for everybody. It's if it's a cliche, the cliche of sport for all. I don't think it's a cliche. I think that it should be sport for all, not just sport for the affluent or those that live in the right area.
I mean, you take it really seriously. You've talked about how it definitely is a sport. You're talking about people who do trampolining as athletes. And that's very different from the sort of people who, children who have a trampoline in their back garden. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, to have a club that encompasses both ends of that spectrum is almost impossible to actually imagine for me.
I would propose that there are a lot of clubs that are out there in the country, and there are many trampoline clubs dotted around the country that don't do necessarily what we're trying to do. Like I said, sport for all. I think that we are, or should be, a community resource. Everybody should be able to come and use us, whether you're a tot, literally you're stumbling around on your feet, you've just learned to walk, and you want somewhere to go, and the parents want somewhere to go to come and let off steam, and indeed for the parents to come and socialise with each other, young mums and all of that kind of stuff, to recreational gymnasts that want to come along and have a bounce and have a bit of fun, to freestyle gymnastics, free running and parkour. They want to hurl themselves, around. And
parkour's where people sort of bounce off the side of buildings and off pavements and all sorts of weird and wonderful things.
All that kind of
amazing
stuff. Yeah, we want to appeal.
You encompass that as well, do you?
We will do. We've got a foam pit that's being currently under construction, with a trampoline that can jump into the foam pit, and then
so while you practice, you can take a tumble. Because I imagine it's one of those things. How do you learn to do that without breaking your neck? We'll talk much more about this, and we'll talk about the rebirth of the Trampolining Club with Olly in just a few moments' time here at BBC Radio Bristol. 6:30 Friday night, wherever you are, if you're in the car or at home or somewhere else, make sure you're with us for Speech Bubble here on BBC Radio Bristol. My guest in the studio is Olly Monro, and he's the man behind the Axis Trampoline Club. We've heard about how in the summer you lost your home at Redwood, and we heard about literally how tearful you were at that. What was the reaction then, having lost the home of the Trampoline Club? You go on national radio, people hear your distress. What was the reaction to that?
It was phenomenal. Obviously we were aired on Radio 4 as one of their programmes on their Last Days series, and I blubbed a lot. Literally the second that the interview had finished and they were back announcing our piece, my phone rang. My phone was listed on our club's website, and people had taken the opportunity to look us up, found my phone number, bam, the phone rang, and it was. Literally the phone didn't stop for the rest of the day, with people offering support in many different ways, from direct funding and donations to suggestions on possible venues that we could take advantage of, resources that they could offer or help or support, or just and many of just moral support.
You sound genuinely surprised by that.
I was. The support that we've received from everybody. from the trampoline community, from the parents and members of the club, from my staff, from complete strangers. Never ever met. I still haven't met them, but you know, people that have emailed me or phoned me up, or we set up a crowdfunding site for people to donate to. Well, because we had to hit a massive target to do our new move. People just donating left, right, and centre, and it was just I sat down in my chair just going, wow. You know, you hear all these horrible stories of
It
stuff
worked.
going
So
on.
I know you're embarrassed about crying on national radio, but it kind of had the desired effect, didn't it?
Yeah, you hear all these horrible stories of horrible things going on, but this has shown that the best of people is out there, and that you know, for a good cause, the people are just the most amazing things in the world.
Now, here we are, 6 months on from that broadcast. You have a new home, a dedicated 7-day-a-week premises.
We do, yes.
Which is, I mean, you've kind of been homeless for a bit and you've moved around quite a lot, but this is it.
This is it
now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what describe your new home for us?
We after we were evicted, we did an awful lot of shopping around, you know, very, very hurriedly, running around the city with a laser measure and trying to find the right place. And
a laser measure because you need, presumably, the ceiling to be a certain height.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there were several places when we walked in and stuck the measure on the floor, went bang, no, too small. No. And they went, oh, do you not want to see the offices? No, it's too short. Out. Thank you very much.
It doesn't matter how good the offices are.
No. So we found this place, and it is... it's perfect.
Bedminster.
We are slap bang right between Bedminster and Ashton Vale. We're tucked just behind Winterstoke Road, Sainsbury's.
Mm-hmm. And why is it good?
I'm sorry?
Why is it good?
It is...
Apart from being high enough.
It's everything that we want it to be a autonomous, independent and self-perpetuating environment.
And how do you know you won't be booted out of there like you've been out of previous premises?
After having my fingers burned last time, the contract that we've now got is ironclad,
right?
Shall we say?
Good,
no,
there's something in life is.
There's been an awful lot of legal wranglings to make sure that what we've got is correct. So we have a 10-year lease, and in actual fact, you own it. It's owned by the BBC Pensions Trust. So yeah, it's a reputable landlord, so I'm quite happy with that.
I'm glad you think so. So tumbling and freestyle and all sorts of bits and bobs going on there, and nobody's going to bump their head on the ceiling because it's high enough. That's the most important thing. You had a very special event, didn't you, at the weekend? Your official opening. You've been going for a while in the new premises. It was your official start, was it?
A couple of weeks. Well, we got the keys to the place on the 19th of December. So really not that long ago, and we've I think I've been up a ladder with a screwdriver in my hand since that point. I did take Christmas Day off, but no, we've been working extraordinarily hard, my team and I, to get it up and running. And yeah, we had our grand opening on the weekend just gone, and we were honoured by the presence of 5 members of the British team who came down and supported us.
Not one, but 5.
5, yeah. 4 trampolinists and 1 double mini trampolinist. Double mini is a guy called Pete Cracknell, World Championship bronze team medalist. Laura Gallagher, double European gold medalist and World
Laura
Championship.
Gallagher, of course, everybody knows and remembers.
Just down the road. She trains in Bridgewater, so she's a local lass. And then we had Kayvon Araste, Lewis Bartlett and Nathan Bailey, 3 GB members, 2 of them British champions from a club called Olga down in Bournemouth.
And you've got something like 300 people on your books.
Yeah, something like that. We're certainly moving towards that figure.
That is a remarkable thing, isn't it?
It's
because a lot of people, having been made homeless, having to close down, set up temporarily somewhere else, reduce from 5 days just to 2, letting people go, that would have been a death knell for other sports clubs and organisations, but somehow you've wrestled this back to be better than ever.
It almost was the death of us as well. It was literally a matter of a few short weeks that was the difference between us being able to continue and or achieve the goal that I wanted to achieve, which is what we now have, and unfortunately not being able to afford it and going bankrupt. So it really was touch and go for a very short period of time. What
would your advice be to anybody who is in a similar situation, because of whether it might be landlords or premises or something else? It might be the paperwork or equipment that their love, the thing they've put their life's work into, looks like it's being taken away from them. What would you say they need to think about or do?
Never give up. Never ever give up. And work your rear end off.
Glad you kept it clean.
I did keep it clean. Yeah, there's nothing that's gonna replace hard work. to get you to where you want to be. Having the right people around you. You know, I'm sitting here, you know, in your lovely studio talking to you, and it's a great opportunity and a privilege to be here. But I have a massive team of people that sit behind me, who I absolutely could not do this without, and I really owe everything to them. It's amazing.
It's a great testament, actually, to your determination. Good to see you. I'm glad things are back. I'm glad you've bounced back. I've held off all the way through this interview to say that. Thanks for coming in and seeing us, and the best of luck with the new Axis Trampolining Club.
Well, as a not-for-profit club, it's you know, it's an ongoing process to raise the funds to keep us going. But thank you very much,
Ollie. Good to see you. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Olly Monro here at BBC Radio Bristol. Latest news headlines, weather and travel report on the way after Gary Puckett.